Hi, historic people. I'm Corky, and this is Historic Metals. Today we're talking about a coin that almost everyone has heard of, coin collectors absolutely love, and yet almost no one calls it by its correct name. That's right, we're talking about the Winged Liberty Dime. What's the Winged Liberty Dime? Well, you know it as the Mercury dime, the incorrectly nicknamed dime that doesn't depict the Roman god Mercury of trade and commerce at all. It doesn't even depict a male person at all. In fact, that's a woman, man. Let's dig in. You may have called this type of dime a Mercury dime since you first saw one, but did you know that the correct name of this dime is the Winged Liberty dime? The proper name comes from the obverse of the dime, which bears the image of a winged liberty, a personification of Lady Liberty herself with two large wings attached to a Peleus cap on her head. Not long after the Winged Liberty dime was released into circulation, the public began calling it the Mercury dime. The Liberty hat was indeed modeled after the petasus, a cap that Roman messengers had worn for identification while running with messages, and Mercury, the Roman god of trade, was awarded wings for his petasus, so he could serve the gods better at higher delivery speeds. The Romans heralded Mercury as the god of trade, property, and wealth, making this a fitting symbolism and an easy mistake to make. Numerous attempts were made to correct the popular nickname to the proper name of the dime by newspapers, numismatic, and artistic publications of the time, but despite these efforts to publicize and push the Winged Liberty name, the Mercury dime label stuck and has stuck to this day. The valiant efforts of those historic publicists of the day long forgotten. The reverse of the Winged Liberty dime shows a fasces, which is a bundle of wooden rods lashed to a battle axe. The fasces is a reference to Roman times, during which it represented the power of a magistrate. Its symbolism evokes the idea of strength through unity. Along with the fasces is an olive branch, known biblically and historically as a symbol of peace. Beginning in 1915, change was in the wind for U.S. coinage, though. The gold $10 eagle, the gold $20 double eagle, and the 1 cent and the nickel had now received completely new designs, and the majority feeling was that it was time to do this to the silver dime, quarter, and half dollars as well. Under the 1890 coinage law, no changes could be made to any coins without first obtaining permission from Congress, though, if they were to happen more frequently than once every 25 years. The circulating coins at that time, the Barber coins, designed by U.S. Mint chief engraver Charles Barber, were the dime, quarter, and half dollar. By 1916, the 25-year anniversary for those designs would pass, and so the U.S. Mint began its search for new designs for the dime in 1915. The Mint Department director at the time, Robert Woolley, decided to open a competition, which resulted in an offer to 3 winning designers for the opportunity to make designs for the remake of the 3 denominations of silver coins. The first 6 coins had been rendered by Charles Barber, the chief engraver of the time, and Barber was the first engraver who had begun his job at opening of the first U.S. Treasury Department mintage and had advanced to 75 years old with the reputation of being hostile to outside artists. He viewed mintage coins as his territory. Many outside the mint, though, felt having different American artists designing U.S. coins was a way to honor the independent spirit of the American people. Mint director Woolley was nervous that the invitation to 3 outside artists to redesign Barber's coins would bring down the wrath of Barber onto the artists, making it impossible to work with them to get the engravings complete. History tells us that Barber was able to contain himself this time, though, perhaps realizing Woolley had his wisdoms. You might enjoy my recent video called The Coin That Never Was about the 1906 pattern double eagle coins to find out more about how Barber was very territorial and difficult with other artists in the mint's business, especially when one Mr. Augustus St. Gaudens came riding into town for their design battle over the new gold coin also commissioned by Franklin Roosevelt. But that's a whole story of its own, so let's get back to the dimes at hand. Regardless of his intense micromanagement and angst over outside designers, at 75, Barber's eyes were beginning to fail him, among other things affecting his work capabilities. It's also possible that Barber saw and appreciated the beauty in the work of the newer designers, as the designs for these coins were truly remarkable. So Barber stepped aside and allowed his replacement in training, George T. Morgan, designer of the Morgan dollar, to do all of his new coin-related work. Regardless of the reasons, Morgan took over the project, and in the midst of 1917, Barber died while still in his position, leaving Morgan to become the new chief engraver. 3 sculptors, artists, and designers, Adolph A. Weinman, Albin Polasek, and Herman A. McNeil, were each chosen to prepare designs for the 3 new silver coins. Adolph Weinman submitted his designs in February of 1916 along with another design for a half-dollar coin and ended up winning the award for 2 coins from his designs. They would become the new dime and the new half-dollar design. He became very well known for his creation of that half-dollar as well, and you know it as the Walking Liberty, which strides across many silver half-dollars today. The other was for his Winged Lady Liberty, creating for the new dime we all call the Mercury dime today. The Winged Liberty design is based on a bust he had sculpted created in 1913 of a woman named Elise Cashel Stevens. Wallace Stevens, a poet, and his wife Elise were tenants in the apartment building owned by Weinman. After carving the bust and creating the design, Weinman went on to put his initials on the obverse of the coin just to the right of the Winged Liberty face. By September, the first test batches of the Winged Liberty or Mercury dimes were provided to a handful of testing companies, mostly consisting of payphone and vending machine manufacturers. They were selected to receive samples of these new dimes first to make certain that the dimes would work properly in their machines. A few of the companies stated that the dimes wouldn't fit into coin slots correctly, so some minor modifications had to be made. The relief was lowered, and the letters of the word Liberty on the obverse were spaced slightly farther from the edge of the coin to make these accommodations. These changes worked to solve the vending machine problems, and the Mercury dime went into regular production by October. This change caused a delay with the dies needed to strike the coins, so they were not released until later in the year than usual. Once the dies were completed, production began in both Philadelphia and San Francisco, where they made millions of these dimes during the remainder of 1916. The first coins were provided to the general public on October 30th of 1916. To identify which mint made a Mercury dime, look for a letter to the right of the word 1 on the reverse of the coin. The letter S indicates the San Francisco mint, and D indicates the Denver mint. The absence of a D or S on the mint mark location means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia mint. Between the years of 1916 and 1945, a total of 2,677,232,488 Mercury dimes were struck. That's 29 years and nearly 3 billion Winged Liberty dimes produced. This makes them less rare than some other U.S. currency, but no less interesting and still very collectible. Coinage needs were high in those days, and so silver barber dimes were also minted those years at some mints. Denver, however, had stopped production of barber dimes in 1914. Also, Denver only minted a sparse 264,000 of the new dimes, which caused the 1916 D Mercury dime to be considered rare instantly. The low mintage is because in November 1916, the three mint superintendents were given a large order for quarters, and instructed that Denver strike only quarters until the order was filled. The striking of dimes at Denver did not resume until well into 1917, making the 1917 D also relatively rare. The Winged Liberty dimes were in circulation during both world wars, so circumstantially some years of production are quite scarce. These years and reasons include the 1916 D, which only saw the 264,000 Mercury dimes I mentioned a moment ago, produced mostly because of the large order for quarters, which Denver produced in mass quantities through 1917. In 1921, with an economic downturn in the United States, the government produced many fewer coins during the year due to lack of demand. In fact, no dimes at all were minted in 1922. Just over 2 million dimes were made in 1921 before taking the year-long break. 1930 and 31 saw us entering the Great Depression, and demand for coins again dipped dramatically. 1932 and 1933 saw a hiatus on dime production again. Less than 15 million Mercury dimes were made in 1930 and 31. In addition to these key dates, all Winged Liberty or Mercury dimes are valuable now. This is because, like many other coins of the era, the Mercury dime has a high silver content, being made from a mixture of 90% silver and 10% copper. Thanks to the silver content and historical value as a discontinued coin, Mercury dimes are generally always worth more than face value. An average common Mercury dime found in decent circulated condition is worth anywhere between $2 and $5 on the aftermarket. As the value of silver rises and falls, so too does the value of the Mercury dimes. High silver spots see these dimes averaging over $3 each in typical condition. As with any coin, rarer errors, some proof coins, and highly graded uncirculated examples can reach very high 3- and 4-figure values and beyond. They can be a fun coin to collect, affordable and plentiful, while still containing silver and plenty of historical interest to make them worthwhile, and as such they are the favorites of many coin collecting and silver stacking enthusiasts. Several Mercury dimes were even flown into space on July 21, 1961, on the Mercury Redstone 4 suborbital mission, the second manned flight of Project Mercury and the second human spaceflight by the United States. The coins sank with the capsule in the Atlantic Ocean, but were later recovered from the capsule from a depth of nearly 16,000 feet in 1999. In 1945, President Franklin Roosevelt passed away. A demand for his image to grace a coin led to his face being used on the dimes minted beginning in 1946. The dime was selected for FDR because of his deep connections and support for the March of Dimes charity campaign. With the introduction of FDR's bust on the dimes after his death, the production of the Winged Liberty, also known as the Mercury dime, saw its end, and that's how this incorrectly nicknamed but ever so beautiful dime featuring Lady Liberty, forever to be mistaken as the male god Mercury, became Historic Metals. Do you have any Mercury dimes in your Historic Metals collection? Did you already know that it wasn't really Mercury on these dimes at all, or that it wasn't even a male but rather a female on the dime? Let me know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to be alerted when I go live on the channel with auctions or other events and videos. I've been Corky, this has been Historic Metals, and you've been historic. Thanks for watching.